Hey, everybody, this is Downtown Bruno, and you're listening to Live and in Color with Wolfie D. It's like Mama says, it bees that way sometimes.
Hey, this is Jimmy Street, host of the Live and in Color with Wolfie D podcast. Hear the life and times of professional wrestler Wolfie D. From his time in the territories with PG-13 to his time in WWE, ECW, WCW, TNA, and more. Nothing is off limits and nothing will be held back. Thanks again for tuning in. Here he is, Wolfie D.
Welcome once again to Live and in Color with Wolfie D and my man Jimmy across the street. What is going on, my brother?
Not much, brother. What you doing? How you living, man? Doing all right?
Living large, living live and in color.
In living color. It's
Great
like
show,
the most.
Man. I don't know if we talked about that before, and the amount of people that when we get them to do the open that say, "You're listening to Live and in Living Color with," we have to edit it or whatever.
Yeah, the listeners don't even know they do that.
Yeah,
it's a thing. We can make a whole episode out of guys doing that in the intro.
yeah, for sure.
or some of them are just like Live with Wolfie D.
Live with Wolfie D.
I'm like, man, maybe we should just change it to that.
Why so hard?
I don't know.
We should have called it Bum Rush Your Mother. That would have been so much easier, so much better.
Yeah, Bum Rush Your
Mother. I just
Mother.
wasn't thinking at the time. It was early and
right. I mean, I remember thinking like, should we call it Rapping with Wolfie D? And that wasn't gonna work. And
that was too generic. But I really liked, or I like now, if we would have went with Bum Rush Your Mother with Wolfie D.
Well, we'll get that on the next one.
Everybody loves that. The next one.
Yeah. So,
man, earlier last week, we lost a good brother, man, independent wrestler. And in my opinion, if timing had been different for him in a different, maybe a different era, man. Hot Rod Biggs. A lot of people know that listen to the show. Hot Rod Biggs passed away last week, 49 years old.
Yeah.
I believe it was a heart attack.
Yeah.
Unfortunate, man. Again, another brother gone too soon. And, we'd like to send our condolences out to the family and the friends. And, I mean, we're friends. So, I said, I always liked Biggs, man. And honestly, man, like, when I come back to work, some of the local stuff or whatever, if I got to work with Biggs, it was kind of like a relief. Like, oh, thank you.
Yeah. Definitely.
The alternatives that were available, working with Biggs, I'd be like, oh, great. That's awesome.
Right.
Yeah, because he could go and he knew what time it was. And, man, he's a hell of a talker, man. He was great on the mic. And even a great, I know he did Crossfire. He did commentary on Crossfire, and he was really good at that too,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. Dude, he was commentary for Saul. That's how really, we worked together the most.
Yeah, he did that too,
Yeah, and dude, I never got to see the TV show, man. I never watched us on TV. I knew that it existed, but I just never made it to, I don't know what it was, but I never watched the show. But then I've watched it in recent years, and dude, he put me over like $1 million. Like, what is Jimmy Street gonna do tonight? And I love Rod. I mean, I told him so much, man. And, of course I had him on my podcast, and bro, that was honestly, I will say this, out of all the people that I've had on my show, Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling, I've never had more people talk to me about a podcast episode than that one.
Really?
And yeah, I mean, it's just like never, ever has anyone talked about a podcast episode. He was just so... It was really, Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling with Hot Rod Biggs that day, because truly the man was a great guy with words. But man, I just think, I saw him recently at the reunion, and we didn't get to talk enough, but we got to talk some, and we took a picture together, and the world lost a great one. I do agree with what you're saying. I feel like if he would have been around in the territory time, bro, like 10 years early,
Yeah, or even because I was thinking about that, still, even in territory, he might not have been the size, the size might not have been right, but he would have been perfect for manager,
Right. Oh, dude. Yeah. Dude, he could have been anywhere being a manager, honestly. Like, I think he could have worked anywhere. He had those mic skills. I'm saying that, you know.
Yeah, he's good at that, man. He was real good at that.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, he was good in the ring. I enjoyed working with him. It was a night off. And it's a sad situation, man. And like I was telling you earlier, man, it's like, how many of these have I seen, man? People that I know, you know, somewhat close to, or even closer, or whatever, man. It's almost, being in this business this long, man, I'm almost numb to it now, and it's sad. It's awful, man. And I could be the next one, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean, it's like a defense tactique, you know. It's like a defense mechanism, you know. So
yeah, man. Because if you get, there's been a few where I've broke down on it, you know what I mean? But it just anymore. Not to say that it doesn't bother me, but it's just like I guess it could be like, you know, we used to be just blown out of the water by a school shooting. Now you hear about it, it's like, dang, another one.
I know. Yeah.
Same kind of thing. You just get desensitized to it, man.
You do, man. And I'll say this, you know. No. And Hot Rod was a great guy. I won't even be joking about this, and some people won't believe this, but Hot Rod did my taxes like 3 years in a row.
I bet. I guarantee that. He did a lot of guys, I believe.
He did great work on it. He was very intelligent. Mm-hmm. He partied, man, but he always had his mind about him. And I'll say this. He's a good
musician too, right?
Dude, exactly.
And stuff. Yeah.
That is exactly what I was about to say. And I was listening to some of his stuff earlier, and he was playing a solo version of Simple Man just on the guitar. And he was a great guitarist. He had a band in his younger days, like a thrash metal band. And man, the world lost a good one, and I'll say this, you know, if you don't know about Hot Rod, go watch some of his matches, man. Yeah. All over YouTube, type in Hot Rod Biggs, you'll find them, and you'll enjoy him, because that brother would go. He would fight, man. I mean, he would fight, and he was not afraid to get some color. I mean, you know. I think he was a little bit of a PIMP too. You know what I'm saying? Oh, no doubt. Yeah, I believe that. Yeah, he was comfortable in that role. Back to the hotel, dude. I'll never be able to hear that song without thinking of him. And that was, you know, before he passed. You know, I couldn't stop it. But anyway, yeah. Rest in peace, Hot Rod Biggs, man. Yeah, man, we lost a great one. Yeah. Well, man, on a lighter note, we today have part 2. Yeah. Downtown Bruno. Like Mama says, it be that way sometimes. When you don't have another guest, you call somebody that you can count on. Exactly. And it's our 150th episode, man. Dude, it's crazy, right? But this is number 150. And you know, I know that Hot Rod is more important to talk than a milestone for us, but still 150 episodes, and we're celebrating it with Downtown Bruno, man. Yeah, can't ask for more. You sent me the rankings last week of all the podcasts and stuff. We're still hanging real high there. We're still hanging high, man. Yeah. And you know, we're not here to talk about who's where and who's not. But you know, I was like looking at some of the people just right above us. I was like, damn, we're right there with them. And then man. I'm over him. I know, man. Oh, I know. Pretty good. I know. Pretty damn good. You were over guys that won't quit kayfabing us about coming on, man. You know, so. You won't come on my podcast, but my shit's beating yours. Hey, all right. Exactly. It's all good. We're not here to brag, but we're doing all right. We're doing all right. And thank y'all for that. Yeah. Sure. And I think a lot of it has to do, man, it's obviously a tag team effort between us, but the way that you put the content out, I think sounds different than other stuff. And thank you, man. Than just what connections I got left, you know, to get the people on here. But anyway, Downtown Bruno's on here today, and he's always a fun time, and I'm sure he'll have some good stuff to talk about again. Without further ado, man, let's see how long these folks, see if they'll stick around through this break, and be right back with Downtown Bruno.
Jewelry isn't a gift you give just once. It's a way to remind your loved one of a beautiful moment every time they see it. Blue Nile can help you find the gift that says how you feel and says it beautifully, with expert guidance and a wide assortment of jewelry of the highest quality at the best price. Go to BlueNile.com and experience the convenience of shopping Blue Nile, the original online jeweler since 1999. That's BlueNile.com to find the perfect jewelry gift for any occasion. BlueNile.com.
Hey folks, to get your official Live It in Color with Wolfie D merchandise, go to ProWrestlingTees.com/Live Wolfie D. Check it out.
If you're listening to Live and in Color with Wolfie D on Apple Podcast and like what you're hearing, go ahead and leave a 5-star rating. And while you're at it, write a review. Tell us what you liked. Tell us what you'd like to hear in the future. It's very important to us and always appreciated. Thanks again.
All right, we're back, and guys, I'm so amazed at how you guys just gut through these commercial breaks. I really am, man. Because sometimes I'm one of those people that I'll just switch if somebody goes to commercial on me. But you guys seem to gut through it and hang with us. We have great retention time here on Live and in Color with Wolfie D. And today we know we're going to retain you for the rest of the time, because for the second time, it bees that way sometime. We got Downtown Bruno. What's up, my boy?
Man, I'm here, and I'm ready to rock and roll, and this is great. I always enjoy doing this program with y'all, and I don't see why this should be any different today.
And so I want to get I'm so mad that I didn't get to be there at the Lawler celebration. I got to send in a video. I'm sure you saw that, but I wanted to be there. It just didn't work out that way. But man, tell us how great it was. I mean, tell us everything about it.
I'm going to tell you right now, I've done a bunch of these conventions since I hadn't been full-time on the road.
Yeah.
And it was, if not the best one, personally, that I was ever on. It was right up there. Okay.
Right.
It was way, way good. It was really good. I mean, I do a lot of them up in, New York area, whatever,
right,
and different places, Ohio. They're really good, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But this was more based towards those of us, quote unquote, legends of the Memphis organization. Whereas we're not in there in this big group of, WWE guys and WCW guys, and guys that used to be with the AWA and whatnot. This was basically geared towards the Memphis guys, and that made it above and beyond for me. And it was just, I got to see a bunch of guys I hadn't seen in quite some time, and just I really I enjoyed everything about it. I was treated like gold, and the fans were really cool, and it was just
so the turnout was real good for both days.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Day 2 even better, because day 1 was like, I don't know the whole thing, so don't get me to lie, but I think day 1 was like VIP.
Okay.
Or something. I don't know for sure, but it was a good turnout for that. But people were all seated, listening to us make our speeches, and watch the videos that you and a lot of other, people did. But day 2 was when people just walked all around and, got autographs and
the meet and greet part. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah. I swear, though, I would have loved to have been there, man. Just like you said, it just means a lot more when it's geared towards Memphis, because, that's what I grew up on. And yeah, man, I tell people this all the time. Yeah, I wrestled in Madison Square Garden. I was on WrestleMania. But, man, headlining the Mid-South Coliseum and the Nashville Fairgrounds and the Louisville Gardens and Evansville, and being on TV5. I mean, just that meant more to me, I think, than being on WrestleMania,
Well, it's the same with me, because that's, this is my backyard too, so yeah. The guys that, like, my dear friend, and I still talk to on a regular basis, Brooklyn Brawler. Mm-hmm. He's from Brooklyn, New York, legit. That's not just a made-up, gimmick. He's really from there.
Right.
So for him to wrestle in Madison Square Garden was like, a big deal for a guy from there. I mean, it's great, and I'm sure you'll agree with me too. It's great to say we've done it. We have. But like you said, it's better for us to be headlining in Memphis or Nashville or whatever, And I see exactly where you're coming from, because I feel the same way.
And man, and I feel like, I kind of hated it. And I said part of this on the video that I sent in. A lot of people from this generation and even a little bit back, they know Lawler as a commentator and kind of more of the ha-ha guy, in WWE and the puppies and all that stuff. But, we know Lawler as, the king of Memphis, the guy when he pulls the strap down that it's fucking on, you know what I'm saying? And the best puncher and the brawler and the guy that can take down the giants and who, in my opinion, is, I'll just say it, man. They say like Flair is the best ever and blah, blah, blah. But I really don't. I don't think Flair is better than Lawler. I don't. I
don't
think
either. I like Flair. I've always got along with him. I have no issue with him.
Yeah.
I always got along with him. He's always treated me with respect, and he is great. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But Flair, for the most part, had the same match every night.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's what I caught on to that as a kid. I caught on to that even before I got the business, So, yeah, Lawler's stuff was always different. And it was called in the ring, it was just, he felt it and he did it. And man, especially like the Lawler Dundee matches, those were just classics that if any wrestling fan has, I know the people that listen to this show have, but I'm just saying, if anybody's never seen those, that's just, it's like Rocky and Clubber Lang, Rocky and Apollo Creed, It's just really good stuff, man. And I would have loved to have been there.
And, Lawler is the only guy that Dundee would ever take a bump for, because Dundee has been in the business 50 years. And I was working with Lawler. He never took a bump.
Or those rolling bumps, right?
Yeah, he took a lot of rolls and he collapsed a lot, but he never took a bump.
The collapse. That's funny. I know exactly what you mean on that one. Speaking of Dundee, man, I've heard and I've seen, and Jamie got up there, and we all love Jamie, but god dang it, man, sometimes he just opens his mouth when he shouldn't and says shit that I guess he thinks it's funny, but I just don't understand him sometimes, man. Yeah,
you know what? But here's the thing, and I'm the same way. There's been times, and you know this yourself. Over the years ago, there's some times I literally wanted to kill Jamie. But, we've all got older. Hell, I'm damn near 60. Jamie's over 50. And here's the thing. It's to the point now where you realize if he got up there and talked with couth and intelligence and whatnot, we wouldn't. That would be the weird part. You know what I'm saying?
What happened?
Yeah. Who's that?
Yeah. So we just have to accept. He thought it was funny or whatever. It wasn't. Here's the thing. It wasn't like cringe humor, like when you watch The Office or whatever. What he said was like off the wall, but it wasn't funny. That's what what he said.
His delivery was the shits. That's what I thought. If his delivery would have been better, it might have offended somebody, or he might have got punched. I don't know, but
like the thing with Brian Christopher was out back. It wasn't funny. Now, if it said the spirit of Brian Christopher was out back, I could hear the laugh. That would have been good.
That would have been funny.
Yeah, right.
That wasn't funny. It wasn't clever. There was no. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to tell some kind of story, whether it's funny or humorous or cringeworthy or a groaner, there should at least be a point to it.
Yeah.
That was my issue. There was no point to it. But I mean, hey, but like I said, I love him like a brother. He missed the mark that time. And we can't all be perfect every time.
I don't guess so. Hot tag, Jimmy. All right, Jimmy, it's time for the hot tag.
Oh man, we're calling for the hot tag early. Bruno. Are you ready to bump and feed for me, buddy?
No, I'm doing my time. Y'all have a good night. Thank you. I'm on it.
So, Bruno, when Wolfie was like, hey, man, we got Bruno again, I was fired up. I was like, man. And I just was thinking like, golly, I've got so many more questions I can ask Bruno. But the one, I think the very first question I want to ask you is this one. Man, your boy, bro. has there been a better storyline in pro wrestling that it like fired Wolfie up? Wolfie's actually saying he loves wrestling again after this whole storyline with The Rock and Cody and the bloodline, man. That was told to such perfection that I still have chills when I think about it, man. What did you think about all that?
Well, here's the thing. Originally, this is me just giving you my experience in the business and my knowledge and my insight.
Please, yeah.
Not me saying I'm in the meetings, hearing the way things are set up or whatever. So I don't want anybody to misinterpret this. In my opinion, what I feel like originally Rock was supposed to come in and be the big babyface hero.
Right.
But when the people turned on him, not because they don't like him, but because here comes a guy, the big Hollywood superstar that came in, and he's taking away this thing that Cody Rhodes has been, fighting for all these months. That's when they turned on, so they had to pivot. And Rock, one of the most intelligent people, and Wolfie will attest to this, in the business, understood that. So they pivoted and they made it work. And when he finally does do the 100% heel face turn, he'll never be, kiss the baby, and dance with the old lady baby.
Right.
Face. It's always going to be a heel face. But when he does make that turn, it's going to be much more effective.
He'll be bigger than ever, He'll be bigger than ever. Because I do see an eventual Rock-Roman match, right? That's going to happen. I mean,
again, I'm not privy to those things, but I would have to say that's got to be in the cards eventually.
Yeah. Now, because the way that it was set up, everybody finished the story. Cody's winning the belt that Dusty couldn't, that kind of thing. He's like, but I'm not going to win it this WrestleMania. I'm going to introduce, and when they crapped on, so like they pop, whenever The Rock comes out, they pop for him. It doesn't matter if he's calling them fat or idiots or whatever, he is still going to get a pop until he says something that turns them. So he's got that immediate pop. And then he comes out there and he's like, I'm taking over. I'm going to take Roman on. Had the storyline not been there with Cody, that could have been one of the biggest matches ever. But instead, they got Cody and Roman, which was one of the biggest matches ever. So it's kind of like you didn't really lose out. But yeah, for those that wanted to see that ultimate bloodline, because I would have loved to have seen The Rock come out there and say, you're the head of the kids table, Roman. I'm the head of the table. You know what I mean? I've been ruling the world in Hollywood. I am the true head of the table, but we'll get that soon, hopefully. So
yeah, absolutely. And he's in it for the long run now, which is great.
Yeah. And hey, I'm like I said, I'm stoked. And when Wolfie was like, hey, man, I like wrestling again, I'm like, holy crap. Either hell is frozen over or some kind of miracle has happened. And
they've been doing some really, even besides that angle, just the in-ring work has been
storylines.
WWE has been a lot more old school, slowed down, actually selling and shit like that, so that's what
thank God for that. That's the thing. I've been in the business 45 years now, full time for a living. So I know a little bit about the business. I'm gonna tell you, this crap of bing bang boom, I'll hit you, then you hit me, then I'll give you this move, looks like it'll kill you, but then now you get up and give me a move, looks like it'll kill me, then we'll just run at each other, and then let's line up 3 guys on the floor so I can jump over the top rope and they can catch me and fall backwards. I don't know about y'all, but if I was in a real fight and some guy came running at me, I'm just going to move out of the way.
Yeah.
Amen.
Well, see, the thing is, they all started doing this thing where they're standing there for so long, looking right at him for so long, and then they miss him anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, you got to time it where you're not really looking, and then, holy shit, there he is. That's supposed to be the deal. And then you catch him, by the way. I've seen so many misses lately, and I promise you, I've been the flipper, I've been the catcher, all that, and I've never seen so many misses in my life in the last 5 years or whatever. But they just seem to be getting back to selling and some actual wrestling, and then the finishes are long and drawn out and big moves, and to me that's the way it's supposed to be.
Oh, definitely.
Well, I've always, especially as a referee or a manager, I've always liked the more simple finishes. I don't like these complicated ones. Okay, you turn 18 degrees to the northwest, and then I want to do algebra. I haven't freaking stayed in school. I just want it to be take it with a sunset flip, or put your feet on the ropes. I don't need all this complicated bullshit. And guess what? You lose the people with that crap too, and nobody seems to understand that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, in a way, I agree with you, but I think if it's done correctly, it's just they've kind of been re-educated to the false finishes, and I think they're just smart enough where they know as long as they don't know you're going home, you know what I'm saying? I think they're still popping. That's in everything in the ring, in my opinion. If they know it's fixing to happen, they're not going to pop. Right. So it's when you stun them is when they pop, because they don't expect it.
Right.
So I've just always been a fan of call a little bit at the beginning, but most of the time just do without all that in the ring. And then I always like to have a longer finish to where nobody really knows what's going to happen. That's just my opinion on it.
Well, I get it what you're saying, but my thing is, like when I do special referee on some of these towns, hire me to go to whatever. I always tell them, give me the very basic simple.
Well, yeah,
I tell you, I don't do this every day anymore like I used to.
Yeah.
As far as being in the ring, I don't want to be the one to F it up.
Right.
The one, quote unquote legend, the special legend. I'm the one that screws up the finale. No, I don't want to be that.
No, I get that 100%.
Right.
Yeah. Just tell me when to count 3. I don't need no. Yeah, I understand that. As a referee,
let me tell you something. I want you to know this. And I bring this up to everybody I talk to. Mm-hmm. And this is a fact, and this is no bullshit. You're going to know this ain't no bullshit. You and me were always cool. We were always friends.
Yeah.
Always. We always got along from day one. We never had an issue with each other ever.
Nope.
Okay. But you came so far up on my totem pole of respect. Not that I didn't have respect for you. I'm just saying. You aced it out that day at the Vine in Midtown Memphis when that Tommy Mercer guy didn't kick out. And I counted 3. If you remember, he came back bitching. That damn referee counted me out. That wasn't the finish. That referee. And you and Brian Christopher were the 2 that stepped up, if you remember. And said, hey, Emmer Effer, you didn't kick out. What was you supposed to do? You remember that?
Yeah.
And that's the truth.
Yeah.
He wouldn't kick out.
It's happened to me. You know what I mean? So I know from experience, man, kick the fuck out.
Well, he said that Stan Lee guy he was working with clocked him pretty good. He was disoriented.
Oh, yeah.
All he had to say was, hey, it's my bad. I didn't kick out.
Yeah.
That would have been fine. I don't know if he realizes it or not. And it wasn't me that did it to go cause trouble. It might have ruined his whole career because it got back to WWE that he was blaming me and raising all this hell.
Oh.
It was his own fault. And he had a tryout that following week, and they canceled it.
Oh, okay, yeah. All right, yeah. I didn't know that.
I hadn't talked to nobody up there, so it wasn't me calling up and telling nobody. I don't do that. But they probably, I'm assuming, talked to Lawler or somebody. Say, that guy that worked for you, how was he? And I'm just assuming this because it.
Yeah, I guarantee that's probably what happened.
Yeah. And he said that effing guy didn't kick out. He tried to blame Bruno, and that was bullshit. I don't give a damn if it's the main event at WrestleMania. If I was refereeing, if you don't kick out, you're going to get the 3 count.
It makes everybody look stupid.
Yeah. Now the one thing you can work with once in a match, just once. If you're choking a guy and I get up to almost a 5 count, I can grab you and pull you back. Wolfie, I told you don't be choking that guy. And I said, Wolfie, Jesus Christ, if you do it again, I'm going to ring the bell. On a choke thing, or you know what I'm saying, something like that.
Yeah.
But not a 3 count. You can't. There's no way around that. It makes the referee look like crap.
Absolutely.
It makes the business look like the F word.
Yes, it absolutely does. I agree 100%, man. And this is funny, man, and you'll appreciate this. A bunch of people have asked about Frank Morrell, and I actually tracked down his granddaughter, and he's still alive. And this is just the other day. He's 83. He's still alive. He's living outside of Dixon in Charlotte, Tennessee. He does. He's suffering from some dementia, but she's supposed to be trying to line up for him to call me, not to be on this show. I'm not even trying to go there. I just want to talk to him because I had such good times with him and stuff. But back to the referee and being counted out. He's counted me out of the ring. When I first started, he hated me. When he's counted me out of the ring, he's counted me 1, 2, 3. He straight up slapped me in the face one time in the middle of the ring because he said I poked him in the eye, and all I was trying to do was get his attention for the heels, you know, to be able to do whatever. And I know I didn't poke him in the eye, but he got hot and slapped me.
Well, you know, he didn't want no heat on him whatsoever.
No, none. Absolutely none.
And he was always mean to the young guys and tried to F up their matches. And he tried to blame it on that guy. That young guy, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And it was, you know, and don't tell him I said that when he's on here, please.
Oh, I'm telling him, Bruno. As soon as that's the first thing I'm going to tell him.
What a rip.
Yeah.
But he was very, very, very hard to work with. Oh, you know, and when you got used to working with Calhoun in Memphis, who was one of the best there was,
of all time.
And then you get up to Nashville, and it was like night and day, and it was very, very hard to work with.
You know what, though? In a way, it made me better as a heel because I had to try to do shit behind his back. You know what I mean? He would try to catch you. So it made us where we had to, you know, really, really be devious and really get his attention away and all that kind of shit.
Right.
But you're exactly right. I was a victim. I was a victim, man. I know him and Jeff used to rib me. I don't know if you remember that when every week on the card, I'd have a different fucking name. And I know it was Jeff and Frank. I know it was. And it would say Woolly B or Whoopie D or everything but Wolfie D in the program.
I never did know that.
Yeah, they did that to me for weeks, man. It was hilarious. It wasn't funny then, but whatever. I didn't care.
They halfway got him into a shoot with Eron Hatchet too, which is funny. It's like one of his best friends.
Funny stuff, man. Hey, okay, so let's get back to talking about Bruno stuff. So the other day I saw something that I guess I never saw it. And from what I was reading, you did something that, like, I guess that the angle never finished or something like that. You were dressed up as a photographer and something like you took a picture. I can't remember who was in the ring and the camera.
No, I'll tell you exactly the whole story.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. No, it wasn't that the angle was never finished. Here's the deal. They never exposed that it was Harvey Wippleman.
Okay.
That did it. Here's the deal. They had it was at the end. I'm the one that ended the main run of Hulkamania. Me. That was the finish. No kidding. Yokozuna.
And it was Hulk and who?
Yokozuna.
Okay. And what happened to the camera? It blew up, or you threw fire on it out of it, or something? What happened?
Yeah, I threw fire. Here's the whole deal. They had a camera rigged up with flash paper, like, you know, like stuff that Lawler used, you know. And they had the this Hollywood type, you know, not stunt person. I don't know what the term is. You know, people that do the special effects, I guess you could say, for Hollywood. They had rigged up this camera. When you hit this one button, it set off that flash paper and it flew out at the person, you know, that it was directed to. So the deal was that's how they wanted to end the match. That the photographer got up on there to take a picture during the match, and when Hogan came near the photographer, which was me, I hit the button and it burned his face, and Yokozuna beat him for the championship. Okay. Now, the reason they picked me to do it, well, first of all, Mr. Fuji was the manager. He's not a photographer, so it would look stupid if he was out there with a camera. You know what I mean?
Right.
Plus, and nothing against Uncle Harry, Mr. Fuji, you know, who was my personal friend. But he couldn't have jumped up on the apron like that anyway, even if it was set up in a different way, you know, because he was, you know, whatever, older and whatnot.
Right.
And the reason they didn't make it known as it was Harvey Wippleman, because it wasn't an angle with me and Hogan, or me. It wasn't supposed to put heat on me.
Yeah, it wouldn't have made sense.
It would have made no sense. The reason they picked me is very simple. And I'm not bragging on myself, but I'm just being truthful. They couldn't have just let Tony Chimmel do it, or, you know, somebody from, you know, that work backstage or whatever, because they're not used to adapting to things and being on time for finishes, which I am. They go at the right time And also, they knew that if something happened at that piece of, photography, let's say, didn't go off, if the somehow it malfunctioned or whatever, they know me and Hogan could adapt and come up with something else. Where if it would have been, like I said, and nothing against Tony Chimmel, as you know, used to be one of the ring announcers. Nothing against anybody you can name backstage area that was smart to the business, but they weren't used to doing finishes.
Right.
Like me and Hogan had it worked out, and for some reason that it didn't, it didn't function properly. I was going to throw the camera behind him, and he was going to be like, well, "Hey, brother, what are you doing on the apron, man?" And then Yokozuna would have smacked him in the back of the head with it, and still it would have been.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But that's the whole bit for that. I mean, in a nutshell, I'm not saying they were going to do this big huge thing with me, and I can see where you thought it was a gimmick that didn't finish. But no, Hogan was finishing up then, so there would have been nobody for me to have a gimmick with.
I got you. And on Hulk, man. So I assume you had a lot of dealings and relationship with him, right?
Absolutely, I love him.
So what do you think the deal is? Okay, so like a lot of us, man, as we get older, especially, I'm noticing like I don't remember stuff a lot, or I remember bits and pieces, or I don't remember it at all.
I don't remember what I had for breakfast.
Well, I know, but I'm saying stuff that happened, right? So it's kind of coming where everybody's like, man, Hulk lies all the time. Hulk lies all the time. Do you think he lies on purpose, or do you think he doesn't remember correctly?
I don't think he lies. I'm going to tell you something. To me, to our profession, Hulk Hogan is what Elvis Presley and the Beatles are.
100%. 100%.
No question.
And honestly, and this is God's honest truth, nobody is in second place. Nobody. Okay? Everybody else is. Hogan drew more money, sold out more auditoriums, arenas, and stadiums, and made more money for the WWE and for the business as a whole than anybody in history. Period. No arguments, no discussions. What about this guy? What about that guy? Okay. You can talk about gates and attendances and houses. Okay, let's modernize that. Yes, tickets were cheaper back then. Pay-per-views were less expensive back then. True. If we just modernize it, which is what they do. Like sometimes you look on some website or read some magazine or watch Entertainment Tonight or whatever, they'll say like what was a great movie? Like, I don't know, Gone with the Wind or whatever. It was like the biggest movie in the 40s or whatever it came out.
Yeah.
But movie prices were probably 50 cents back then or whatever. I don't know. Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? If you modernize it, it was probably the highest grossing movie of all time. I'm not saying that for sure. I don't know. But, I'm just saying, so let's just modernize everything. And I'm not putting anyone down. Dwayne Johnson is my best friend. Okay. Undertaker's a great guy. Shawn Michaels drew a lot of money. Bret Hart drew a lot of money.
Stone Cold
drew a lot. I can name a bunch of guys drew a lot of money. And I don't think any of them, Triple H drew a lot of money. I mean, on and on and on and on and on. Right. I don't think any of them would argue that Hogan was the man.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm going to tell you something. This is God's honest truth, too. Not that everything else I'm saying is lying. I'm not lying, but sometimes people kind of exaggerate. Sure. I'm not exaggerating. I, as the heel manager for different people that worked with Hogan, when I'm standing in the ring, when that music hit, you couldn't even hear it. That electricity, I'm serious. I don't do drugs, never have done drugs, but it was like a high. You can't explain. When Hogan's music hit, there was like an electricity in that arena that I can't explain. I think, again, I've never done drugs, but I wonder if that's how drugs feels. I can't explain the electricity when Hogan's music hit. And when he came out, waving his hands around, you know how he did, pointing, Jesus Christ, it was like unreal.
Yeah.
He was the man. He was Elvis and the Beatles put together.
Yeah, you're right, man. I mean, he absolutely changed it. Like now, you get guys that come along and, this is the man for this, 10 years and this is the guy for this 10 years, but they're simply replacing the last person. He was the one that actually set the standard and actually, turned wrestling into what it is today, basically. I mean, you can't argue that. Yeah. You're right.
Agreed. And I'll tell you this too. in all full disclosure, my managing career and refereeing career with WWE was done. I was working backstage, being behind the scenes guy like I am now. Now I'm washed up guy that goes to conventions, whatever. But so in full disclosure, I was never in the ring when the glass broke and Stone Cold came out. I was never in the ring when If You Spell and Dwayne came out. So I can't say if that wouldn't be the same feeling. I imagine it probably would be.
What about, what a rush? Sorry.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been there for the what a rush thing, which was good too. But that don't even compare to Hogan.
I believe that, I believe that. Let me ask you real quick, because I'm not trying to cut you off, and I realize you're his friend, so I'm not trying to make you say things bad about him. But, there were some things, like he said that he tried out for Metallica or something, and that he played for the Cincinnati Reds or was gonna. And I mean, I know famous people could go to spring training, like Garth Brooks, Tom Selleck,
right.
All these people. So I could believe that. But there are some things that I know, and I'm not trying to, because I don't want Corny fans after us. I know Cornette sometimes tends to pick apart, and look, I'm a Cornette fan as much as anybody, but sometimes he falls apart about some of the things Hogan says. And one thing he said that kind of stuck out to me was talking about Bruiser Brody when he died. We know he got stabbed in the heart and the chest and cut his stomach or something. He was like, oh, they went in and slit his throat. I do think some of it is his memory. I do. Like, I want.
I'll say this.
Yeah.
And in all honesty, I have no idea if Hogan tried out for Metallica or not, because obviously I wasn't there.
Sure, of course.
I have no idea if he had a deal with the Cincinnati Reds or the Cleveland Indians or whatever.
Right.
I don't know. Obviously, once again, I wasn't there, so I just could not.
Yeah, I get it.
Begin to tell you. And as far as the Brody thing, obviously I wasn't there.
Right.
So I don't know what happened. And also, I can tell you this. Not that this is relevant to what the discussion. I'm just saying, I never, in all my years in the business, I never met Bruiser Brody.
Yeah,
I never happened to be in the same organization with him.
I'm surprised. That's crazy.
No, never met him. Never met him. So I can't say anything good about him or bad about him.
Sure.
Never met him. Was he I guess I can't say something good about him. He drew a lot of money. He was talented in the ring. He looked and obviously was believable. But I never met him.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So that's my way. I just walked all around the block.
No, but you answered it. You answered it perfectly.
Yeah,
and
like Jimmy said, I loved Hulk Hogan. I mean, I met him once or maybe twice when I was in the business. Obviously, never been in the ring with him, but just met him. And I mean, as a kid, obviously, Hulk Hogan gave us action figures, wrestling action figures. So he gave us video games. He gave us cartoons. He gave us all the shit we got today, or that they got today. And even adults collect all this stuff. He changed the whole game, man. And I hate it when people say bad things about him. But my point in saying all that was, do you think that it's his memory, or do you think he's just, because I think some people get so big, and I'm talking all, fuck Joe Biden, any of these people that are so big in the world and so much money, so much fame, that they just lose touch with reality, period. And they feel like they can say whatever the hell they want to say.
Well, it's a point that is worth considering. But again, I can't even make that comment because, again, I wasn't there for any of those things to see that happen or not happen. You know what I mean? So I can't say, how do I know that Hogan didn't have a trial with Metallica? How do I know Hogan didn't?
That'd be kind of cool, wouldn't it? I mean, think about it. Seeing the Hulkster jamming with Metallica.
He used to be I think a bass player, if not a guitarist, before he got in the business. So I can't say.
Yeah.
I just can't say.
No, I mean, everything you've dealt with him on, he's been square dealing with you. That's all you can take it upon, which I don't blame.
He's treated me with nothing. My first day in WWE, 35, I think, years ago, he was the nicest, most friendliest guy, and he knew who I was. Right? Hey, downtown Bruno, welcome aboard. You're going to give me a hard time like you gave the King down in Memphis? The whole bit. He wasn't a dickhead or nothing, period. He was a great guy.
let's take a quick time out and get a word from one of my dope-ass sponsors, and we'll be right back with more Live and in Color with Wolfie D. Hey folks, this is Wolfie D here, and if you are looking to buy or sell a home in Tennessee or Southern Kentucky, you're going to want to call my buddy, the rock star realtor, Benji Bowie. And you say, Wolfie, how do I get in touch with this rock star? Well, you can call him directly at 615-390-8216. You can go to his website, bowiehomes.com. That's B-U-I-E homes.com. Or you can email him at benbowie34@gmail.com. When you need a home, you need the Rockstar Realtor.
Benji is a member of Exit Realty's Garden Gate team in Gallatin, Tennessee.
And another guy that I have, since his name came up, I'll go ahead and say, another guy that I have a lot of respect for and really, 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 really like a lot is Jim Cornette. I have total respect for his knowledge of the business.
Yeah.
Total respect for, I mean, 98% of the things he says about the business, I agree with 1,000%.
Right.
Now, the things I'm not saying I disagree with, but the things I don't know about. This happened in WCW. This happened in where was it? TNA, whatever. I wasn't there, so I don't know.
Right.
So I can't just say, hey, he's right. Like Vince Russo did this, Vince Russo said that. I wasn't there.
Right.
So I can't, I'm not going to ever be a guy that's going, he's right. Vince Russo's no good. I can't say that because I wasn't in that situation.
Right.
But anytime me and Corny ever work together, or whether in the same angle or the same match or the same territory, or just worked in the same organization, I have nothing but high regards for him, 100%. And I hope he hears this because I really respect his work, his intelligence, his outlook on the business, or his outtake on the business, whatever the word is. And I'm nothing but positive.
Me too. And I don't know if you know this, but he was responsible for getting me and Jamie in the Nation of Domination. He got us that deal. So I've always.
Oh, no, then I hate it.
I've always had great respect for him. He's always been good to me and Jamie. Well, at least me more than Jamie.
Right. But, he's a hell of a guy. And if you talk to him or whatever, please tell him that I ain't
talked to him in years. It's been years since I talked to him. I used to stay with him. I used to stay with him all the time, man. When I went to OVW, I'd spend the night there and then come back home and spend the night with him and hang out. And we had a great time, man. But it's been years, man. He's I don't know if I made him mad or something, but at any rate, what about, man, I ain't never asked you questions like this. And now that we was talking about Hulk Hogan and stuff, what about one of my favorites? I know the Road Warriors, so that one I ain't got to ask you. I know what kind of guys they were and got to work with them. But Randy, I only got to meet Randy once. He just said a little something to me, put me and Jamie over, which was awesome, but I never got to work with him. What kind of dealings you have with him? And you got any good Randy Savage stories?
Oh, I thought you meant Randy Hale. So
no, I got Randy Hale stories.
I know. No kidding. That's why I was joking. No, I mean, I don't really have any stories about Randy. We never hung out or nothing. He was a very private person. But I've got along great with him. He's one of the only guys besides Lawler that I would let pile drive me. And he gave me many pile drivers. Never felt it. He was smooth as a baby's ass. I liked Randy. I got along with him. I never had one negative interaction with him. Just a really good guy. Tremendous talent. Great in the ring. Just fantastic. I mean, I really liked him. He was just respectful. He respected me and my time in the business. Because when I went to WWF at the time, WWE, I had been in the business actually 10 years, when I worked there. Now these guys are in the business 10 months and they go there. But back in our day, you had to work your way up. Yeah. It took me 10 years to get there. He knew who I was. He respected the time I put in the business and the time it took me to get there and learn what I knew then and just treated me well from day one. He goes, man, I remember seeing you. I watched Yeah, if you see Eddie Marlin, you tell him I said hi. I always liked Eddie Marlin. You tell Christine Jarrett, I said, he remembered all that, and he was just very welcoming to me when I went there for the first time, and I have nothing but positive things to say about him.
Cool. Go ahead, Jimmy.
So obviously, I'm talking to one of the greatest managers ever, and I don't know if
somebody else on the
line. Gary Hart, he came from the grave. No, I'm just kidding. But that's a whole Jamie joke I just made. And Gary Hart, I'm the biggest Gary Hart fan. Leave me alone, y'all. Y'all know this. Okay.
He was very good. He was very good and a good guy.
So obviously, I started. I did a little bit in the business. I worked in the Nashville outlaw scene for Burt Prentice and Mike Porter and TJ Weatherby and Tony Falk and all those guys. I made my rounds. That's how I met Wolfie D and all this kind of stuff. Well, so I've always been a huge fan of managers, putting managers, in a list of some kind. I always think about that. Who's the best of all time? And I really got to say that I think Paul Heyman has really stamped his name on the Mount Rushmore. I would love to hear Downtown Bruno's Mount Rushmore of pro wrestling managers.
It's funny. This is the first time I've been asked about managers. Now, before I answer that, which I will, a lot of times people say, name the Mount Rushmore of the wrestlers. You can't. There's too many that are tremendous. How do you know what I mean? How do you do it? You can't.
Right.
Now, managers, and I'm not going to sit here and be a normal jerk off and put myself on it. No. I've got a plaque on my wall over here from WWE magazine back in the 90s. I can't see it from where I'm sitting, but I can see it. I can't read it from where I'm sitting. This was an honor to me. I want to say number 16. It might have been number 12. I don't know. It's just in the top 20 managers of all time. And I was listed at like I said, 12 or 16 or something. I can't remember. That was a huge honor to me. And that's where I belong. Do I belong in the top 4 like the Mount Rushmore? Hell no. But wait, let me walk over here. I'm curious now. Oh, give me a second. I've got, damn it. What? No. Yeah, number 16. I'm the number 16 in of all time. It wasn't just WWE. It was, they looked at all, man.
In wrestling.
But,
right.
Okay. Now, this is purely speculative. I might think about it later and change my thinking, but roughly, just off the top of my head, since you caught me with this question, Bobby Heenan, Jim Cornette, Paul Heyman. Now, let me give some thought to number 4, because without a doubt, Heyman, we're the same age, we came up together, whatever. And, of course, we were both competing for a top spot in Memphis back in the 80s. So, yeah, we weren't even friends back then. I love him now. We're like best friends. But back then, we were 2 young guys in our 20s fighting for a position.
Right.
But, yeah,
right.
Heyman and Heenan and Cornette in no particular order are 3 of the 4. Now, number 4, God.
Hell, I'm trying.
I don't know. There's
Jimmy Hart.
Jimmy's right there. I'm going to go out on a limb, okay? I love Gary Hart, but I know he's not in the Mount Rushmore, in a realistic Mount Rushmore. I'm almost going to say Scary Sherry Martel.
I would say Jimmy Hart over her.
Yeah, Jimmy Hart is right. You're right.
No, Jimmy Hart, I was going to say, and he's a dear friend of mine. The only reason he didn't just pop out to me, and this is no bullshit, is I see him on almost a monthly basis because we do these conventions.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about guys that I hadn't seen. That's the truth.
Yeah.
Jimmy's definitely. Jimmy's the one that paved the way for me and everybody else in the Memphis area. But I was thinking about other guys like Lou Albano was a shit. He took away from matches.
Freddie Blassie.
Freddie Blassie was, God bless him. He was a great talker and a great heel. But he was there mainly because, he was a loyal person to the WWE, the McMahons, which is that they're very loyal to the people that are loyal to them. Thank God.
And I'll tell you right now, one that deserves some thought here. I just thought about this. As far as what this person did, okay, as little as this person did, but I guarantee you, every kid knows the name Miss Elizabeth with Randy Savage. Now, she was a valet per se, maybe not a manager. But, man, everybody knew her and everybody loved her. And maybe she's not in that role of manager, but you got to kind of give it up for her, man. You know what I'm saying? As far as just
no, there's no doubt
being over. You know,
I'm going to put Sherry above her though, but I respect what you're saying. Yeah.
No, here's the thing. She was over, yes. She was good, absolutely gorgeous, absolutely, no doubt. Period. But when you're talking about managers, she was there to enhance and did it very well, by the way. Macho Man gimmick, you know, and she was the yin to his yang or whatever.
The Beauty and the Beast. The Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah. You know? Right. But as far as
what's the separation? What's the separation of a valet and a manager? I mean, that's that two different categories we call it, I guess.
I would say, yeah. I would
okay.
Say, okay. She didn't get involved in finishes. She wasn't tripping people or, you know, whatever. Right. I mean, very seldom was she involved in a match. Like the one time she got in the ring and stopped Wayne Ferris from hitting Randy with a guitar.
Right.
And things like that. But in general, she just stood there and she stood there very well. I'm not saying it to be funny.
She stood there great.
No, but I mean, in all seriousness, she would make the face like when Randy was getting beat up. She looked like it was torturing her. You know what I mean? She did a tremendous job. I don't know. Sherry,
I just like playing devil's advocate on that one, really. It just popped in that, man, she was really over, though, you know, and was kind of like Hogan, man. She was a trend, you know, a pioneer of that role, basically, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
But getting back to Sherry, I think Sherry was okay.
Yeah, because I see her as a wrestler.
Just okay.
Yeah, and I see her as a wrestler. I don't see her as a manager that much.
So are we deciding on Jimmy Hart? Is that where we're landing?
I would say.
I think that's good. I mean, Bobby, Jim, Jimmy, and Paul Heyman. I mean, I don't think many people could argue with that one, to be honest. You
That's
know?
a pretty list right there.
But I mean, Bruno, Jimmy Street, Gary Hart, and Wolfie D later after his second hip surgery, maybe the four greatest. I'm just kidding. I'm never going to say me. I'm just joking. But you know what I mean. I do think you were really good, Bruno. And I do not ever want you to think less of that, because coming from someone who watched both of your careers as Downtown Bruno and Harvey Wippleman, you changed, but you also had that foundation of understanding actual real heat. And if they have that saying of giving people their flowers, I truly feel like you deserve your flowers in that. You came along at a time when they had almost kind of whittled down the manager, right? I mean, it was kind of going away, and you were like, you know, I know Slick and some of the other guys were still around maybe, but honestly, you were kind of like the last hope of the manager in pro wrestling for a good amount of time, you know?
I agree. And at one point, I was the only manager in WWE. At one point. Or
that's crazy. That's crazy.
They brought Fuji back to be with Yokozuna. And then they brought Cornette back because Fuji couldn't talk. You know, and I love Fuji.
Right.
But, you know, you need a guy like Cornette to communicate. With Fuji with the old Tojo bullshit. You're no good. You're no good. I mean, that's out Madison Square Garden with that shit. You know, come on. And he talked about, and Tojo, I love Tojo, but Jesus Christ, if he wasn't the worst manager in history, I don't know who was.
That's awesome.
And I loved him, and we were very close. And it tore me up when he took himself out. But when it came to in Wolfie will tell you, Tojo in the back, oh, you're not smart. Kayfabe. Oh, get out there, have psychology, do that.
You know what though? You know, Bruno, you say Wolfie will tell you, but you know, I never ever met Tojo. I was not in the business yet. I was on the cusp of getting in. Now here's the thing. I think I was right about training time, you know, about 15, 16 when Tojo passed away, when he killed himself. However, I did Tojo Yamamoto's funeral was the first wrestling funeral that I ever attended. And, you know, of course, I've seen a lot of people pass since then, but that was the first wrestling funeral I ever attended, was Tojo's funeral.
Well, I've been down.
Yep.
But yeah, Tojo was like, we were really close, but it was funny. Everybody was in the dressing room. Bruno, you're not smart. kayfabe. You got to go out there and use psychology. You got to be smart, blah, blah, blah. And there'd be like a big main event going on, and like Lawler would be doing some heavy, they're getting heat on Lawler and beat the shit out of him, and you hear people laughing their ass off. You look over, Tojo was sword fighting with some old lady with a cane in the front row.
God almighty.
Like, oh my God, Tojo, you're preaching psychology. You're sword fighting with an old lady in the front row. And it was, I guess sometimes we're all hypocrites.
Yeah. Well, to kind of go back to Jimmy Hart, I want to ask you a question. So when I was trained to become a manager and they were constantly beating it into me of what to do, never take the heat away from your guy, only funnel it to your guy, never get with the crowd too much. That's too much cheap heat. Lottie Dodd, stay in one position. Jimmy Hart basically broke all those rules. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, he didn't listen to none of that advice.
And he was fucking right. And I didn't either.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't either. Because, hey, he knew how to get over, and he did get over. Right. Jimmy's a great effing guy. I love him to death. He replaced Dick Clark and Ringo Starr as the world's oldest teenager.
Sure. Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I'm sure you were told that too, right, Bruno? Stay in one spot. Don't, I'm sure. But
yeah, you know what? Before I got my big break, that God bless Lawler for giving it to me in Memphis. Back in '83, I was in Kansas City for Bob Geisel, another great guy, but old school. Okay, he's the one who told me, stay, just sit in your chair. If you're involved in something, get up and do the thing to sit back down and blah, blah, blah. And Rocky Johnson was there. He said, this is bullshit. He goes, you can do so much. You can draw so much money. They won't let you. He goes, come to Hawaii with me. We'll let you learn, and we'll let you do your thing, and you'll get over. And Rocky brought me to Hawaii in '83, and that's when Lawler came to make an appearance, and he loved my work, had me manage him when he was in Hawaii, brought me back to Memphis right after Jimmy Hart left for New York, and the rest is history. So, I mean, I owe Jimmy Hart for leaving, and I owe Rocky Johnson for coming to Kansas City and bringing me to Hawaii, where I met and babysitted his son, and then, and the rest is history. So, the thing I hate the most, about not so much regret, but the thing I just hate, and all my time in the business, so many times I knew I could have got over and drew money that I wasn't allowed to. And I think that sucks. I'd rather let me sink or swim on my own shit. It's like, no, we've got it all figured out. That's all that shit you did that drew money everywhere you went. Let's just forget that now. We've got it all figured out. And then you go somewhere. And here's the thing. You go to certain territories, okay, and they would say, okay, here's why we want you to do it. Do this, this, and this. And you get out there and do what they said and didn't get over, and the houses went down. So guess what? Then they start giving notices. It's like it's almost like they're saying, okay, well, let's correct the bad booking by changing the talent. It hasn't worked yet. It's bound to happen now. It's just, bad booking is what kids, I mean, there's shitty talent sometimes, but if you're doing what the booker tells you to do and it don't get over, don't get rid of the fucking guy that did what he said. Get rid of the effing booker.
Yeah.
Get rid of Eric Embry.
It had to happen. Had to happen.
I can't. I'm sorry. If me and him ever had a conversation, I would love to have a conversation with him. I would shake his hand if he would just apologize to me for what he did, to me and to, I don't know what the hell I did to deserve the way he did. I don't know what the hell Memphis did to deserve him booking us from the Coliseum to the Pipkin building. If they had stayed on much longer, we'd have been wrestling in somebody's backyard.
No doubt.
But I mean, and the guy that I'm friends with, I seen him last week at the convention in St. Louis, 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, is Roddy Pritchard. I don't know why Tom Pritchard decided to come to Memphis and become Roddy Piper. I never figured that out.
Yeah.
To the day I die, I never figured that out. You know,
Do you tell him that?
Oh, every time. And, you know, if I ever start managing again, which that will never happen, but if I ever did, I'm going to do my own new thing. It's going to be, oh, yeah. Yeah, right. Nobody's ever done that before, right? I'm going to be downtown Bruno Savage. Come on.
Yeah. I remember thinking as a youngster, like, why does Dr. Tom do that? But I love Dr. Tom.
It wasn't getting over. It wasn't getting heat. It'd be different if Piper was in the territory and he was like mocking him or whatever, but it wasn't the case.
Yeah. So I have two more quick things. Won't be long. One is a question, but I want to get this out first. A good buddy of mine, I know you know who he is. Wolfie knows him. He's a great guy. We love him. He's a great listener of the podcast as well, but longtime wrestler Ben Jordan. You know Ben, right, Bruno?
Oh, a really nice guy. I like the hell out of Ben.
Yeah. So he loved the last episode that you were on. He's a great listener. Like I said, loved the guy to death, but he loves when you say Miller Lite because that's his favorite beer, right? So if you could just say, hey, Ben Jordan, here's a Miller Lite, something like that for him.
Hey, Ben Jordan, I wish you were down here in Walls, Mississippi with me right now. We'd click on Miller Lite together and we'd have some beer and we'd sit here and talk to these two great guys together.
Hey, maybe next one we'll do that. That's awesome.
Be fine. Hey, Ben Jordan, you're coming down here from it's up there, exit 188 where he lives, right? It's
Dixon.
What's that town he lives in?
Yeah,
Dixon
lives in.
Oh, is he in Dixon? I thought he was in. Oh hell, what's that town?
It's Fairview or Dixon, ain't it?
Something like that. Yeah, one of the two.
Okay, I knew he was up that way near Nashville.
Yeah. I love Ben. Yeah, he'll love that. He's going to pop for that. So thank you for saying
hell of a guy.
Yeah.
What is he now, about 70?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't know about that.
I'm only kidding. He's younger
I'll let him take that bump, though. I don't know.
I'm just messing with him.
So my final question that I have, Wolfie posted something the other day on Facebook. And he says, I wish my life had a rewind button, right? And that kind of formulated a question for me. Downtown Bruno, if you could have a pause button or a rewind button on your life, which would you choose?
All right, say it again. Let me hear it again. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. If you had a pause button or a rewind button on your life, which would you choose?
Okay, I would choose a rewind. Now, we'll just talk about the business. I don't want to talk about the two women I married.
Right.
I mean, you know, in all seriousness, I don't want to think about people I lent money to screwed me over. I don't want to think about stupid decisions I made, getting DUIs, going to jail. We've all done stupid shit.
Right.
I bet I can speak for both of y'all. If we had all the money back that we got screwed out of by people, we'd be rich.
Oh, man.
But just since this is this isn't Dr. Phil. This is a wrestling cast. The wrestling thing. I wish I could rewind and change it. Some of the things I've done in the business over the years. The one is, honestly, even though things obviously worked out for me in the managerial department in the business, when things weren't going that great for me in Kansas City as a manager, they wanted to switch me to be a referee. And I just didn't want to do it. I wanted to manage. Well, thank God it worked out well in my favor. But I still wish I'd have maybe refereed. Now the territory ended up, going out like all territories eventually did. But I always look back and say, man, I wish I'd have just refereed. Again, it worked out in my favor. But what if it didn't?
Right.
Because let's face it, every territory back in those days had 16 to 18 talent. 8 or 9 baby face, 8 or 9 heels, 2 at the most 3 referees, 1 at the most 2 managers. So a referee or a manager is a harder position to get in than a wrestler. So I always said to myself, if you're a referee, unless you're the shits or unless you're Frank Morrell, you pretty much stay there as long as you want to. So I always questioned, why didn't I just let them turn me referee? Well, I mean, I've said it 4 times now, but truthfully, it worked out for me managing. But I always wonder what would have happened if I would have decided to let him, turn me referee. So that's one thing. The other thing is, why did I not get Jerry Jarrett, Jerry Lawler, and Eric Embry in a room together one day and say, Eric, what the fuck are you fucking with me for? What have I ever done to you to make you treat me like shit and talk to me like I'm a piece of shit? And why did you, do everything you could to ruin my career? Why? Eric, what did I do? I never worked with him before. I met him a few times. We never had any issues.
Yeah.
For some reason, when he came into Memphis, he just shit all over me. I don't know why. I don't know why.
Yeah. I remember you telling us all that on the
you cut a great 10-minute promo on him. It was amazing. Lawler, you Lawler boys, y'all gonna be out of here.
Yeah, exactly. So when we do this again, it'll be the same thing.
Awesome.
Oh, man. Next time we're gonna bring on with you.
Y'all be the you know what? Set it up for me and him to have a debate like Biden and Trump on this thing.
Let's
do it. I'd like to ask him what the fuck he did that for.
Let's do it.
I would love that. Let's do that, Wolfie.
I'm trying to find his number.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna tell you something. You can tell him this, and I'm serious as I can be.
Yeah.
When I heard he got in a bad car wreck and almost got killed up in Kentucky, I think it was, or Indiana. I'm not an evil person. I was not happy about that. I didn't wish it.
Yeah.
And I wasn't like, I wish he'd have got killed. No, I felt terrible. I've been in a fatal car wreck, as y'all know.
Yeah.
I honestly felt terribly for him. I know it must have been terrifying because I've been in that situation. I was asleep when mine happened, when Joey fell out. I didn't have to, I was not only, out of consciousness when it happened, so I didn't know what the hell was going on. Yeah. He was awake, wide awake, and driving. I think, I don't know the whole story, but like the other vehicles was like a tractor trailer or something that was completely at fault. And I honestly was so happy that he did not get killed. And I know he was terrified, and which anybody would. I don't give a damn who you are. And I really felt very, very sorry for him. Yeah. He went through that. Yeah. So my whole point is, I'm not an evil person. I don't wish him dead. whatever. I want to
know why.
Why? Business-wise, why did he come in and just do that to me for no reason?
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
And what made him think he could get away with it? No, Lawler's one of my closest friends in the world.
Right. Yeah, that don't make a lot of sense either. That don't make a lot of sense.
Never know.
Shit, man. Hey, this has been fun again. I love talking to you, Bruno. You're hilarious. You always have been, and a great dude, man. We appreciate you taking time out of your life, man, to talk to us and all that.
And Wolfie, tell the guy at the Kayfabe Cave down there, I'm still waiting.
He ain't called you?
Hell no. He called me right. Well, we've got this guy coming. I'm ready to come.
Right.
I don't mean it that way, Jesus Christ. I like you, Wolfie, but not
I know he's got. I think he's got Steve. I think he's got Kern. I think he's got Steve Kern coming. What is that, Jimmy? August, July, something like that.
Something like that. I'm not sure.
Yeah. He'll. He should be calling you. I don't know. He kind of, does his own thing. You know how they are. You get them going, and then they know how to do it all. So we'll
get him in touch. I promise. We'll get him in touch.
I want to do it. It's a drive for me. I'm not going to overcharge him. I'm ready to come down there.
Yeah.
I got you, Bruno.
Well, boys, I'll do that for sure. I really enjoyed it, and I'll wait to do it again.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, Bruno, man.
You're the best.
Thank you, boys.
See you, dude. And we'll be right back with Ask Wolfie D Anything.
DJ, hit the music. All right, we are back with Ask Wolfie D Anything. And first off, man, downtown Bruno. Wow.
we got him roused up, didn't we?
We sure did, man. All you got to do is bring up his friends. And it's just so happened that he's friends with like the biggest names in wrestling, man.
For sure,
you
yeah.
know? Like, yeah, but I always love.
I mean, we might have to try to put together a debate gimmick with the Embry.
That would be incredible, and I hope we can do that, man, because that would be one of the biggest episodes ever, I think.
Hey, and speaking of that, and then before we get started with Ask Wolfie, I want to remind the listeners that we're putting together Tracy Smothers' tribute episode, and we've got a lot of people that have already sent in videos with stories, thank yous. Hey, this is a story about Tracy, a funny story, a nice story, whatever. You know, if you want to be part of it, you better hurry up and get them in, because Jimmy's got to get to editing, and we got to get it going and put it together and everything. So just a reminder, wrestlers, and I don't, if I don't know you, that's fine. If you got a good story, we'll put it on. If you don't like me, that's fine too. We're doing this for Tracy.
Right.
It ain't got nothing to do with whether you like me or not, or whether I like you or not. So, man, send them in. If you're a fan and you want to be involved in this, I'll take those too. I said that. If your story is good, I'll put it in there. No, you are not. So send them in. And we just want to do this for Tracy, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So that's that. And we can get on to the next gimmick.
All right. Well, the next gimmick is, of course, Ask Wolfie Anything. So here we go. The very first one is from Cause Effect on Instagram. He asked this question. I think this is actually a good question. I've never really thought of it this way. He says, have you ever been working through an injury, you know, and had to, and then you had that be the body part your opponent worked on because it would be easier to sell it? Is that a thing in wrestling?
Absolutely. Because, I'm already going to, if I'm hurt that bad, I'm already going to be selling it anyway. So you might as well, you know, it'd be stupid for me to be taped up, you know, or whatever, like say a knee, and I'm doing it for real. Why wouldn't the opponent see that and go after it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that would be dumb on their part, first of all. And then plus, I'm probably going to not be able to do certain things. And, you know, then people are going to see, oh, his knee's hurt. So, yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah. Like if you're limping to the ring, work on my leg, you know, if you're, you know, I mean, that's, and I would imagine that it would be easier to sell because, like, if you think about it, let's just say it's not visible. Let's say you've got a twisted knee, right?
Yeah.
But it's not visible. But in the long run, if they worked on that body part, you would sell that easier because then you could not act. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You could actually.
Well, I can give you an example of not visible, even better. Is that like I honestly don't know if it was my kidney or like a low rib down there, but like I took a bump over the top, and I guess like I said, low rib or my kidney hit the top rope too hard as I was going over backwards. And for the longest time, man, right in that area, it just hurt so bad. So that would be one that nobody would even be able to tell, but I'm going to be favoring that because believe me, that's tender. and then bumping wise and stuff like that. So, you know, that's something that I might say, hey, work on my rib there, you know, to work on that area. But then here's the thing, too, on those. When you're really injured, you got to really trust the motherfucker that's across from you to not fuck you up no more than you already are if they're going to work on it, right? So, yeah, that's kind of a, you know, double-edged sword, I guess you call that. Yeah. I want you to work this because I'm milking or I'm hurt and I'm going to have to, you know, sell it, but don't hurt me anymore.
Don't hurt me. Yeah. Don't aggravate it even further. Yeah.
Right.
But I mean, you know, I'd never even thought of that as a thing until this question came through, and now it makes complete sense. It's like, that's just one of those things that you take kind of not for granted, but you just don't even think about. So,
for sure,
you know, because I'm thinking like, bro, my knee's hurt. Stay away from my knee. You know, don't. Yeah. You know, and instead, work my knee, dude. Come on.
You might even have to, you know, break the deal. And, you know, if it's my right knee that's messed up, you might have to go on the right side instead of the left side.
Right.
Make it make sense, but yeah. So anyway, that's that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's a good question and answer. So thank you for that. All right. Well, the next one is from Overkill 515. And he says, what did things look like creatively in your TNA run? Like, who were the agents, who was booking, and how much control did you have over your character promos and matches? I really appreciate the opportunity to ask this, and I love your channel, my guy. So,
thank you. I feel like we kind of touched on this one a number of times. I didn't pitch a whole lot of stuff. My character did not talk a lot. I talked about the one interview that Russo gave me that I absolutely hated. And the reasons why I hated it is because it just wasn't my character. And then telling me, hey, just do it like Raven. No, I'm not Raven.
Right.
Not Raven. Far from that character. And like there was different. I mean, I was there when Russo was there. I was there. I mean, Jeff was always there. I mean, Jerry Jarrett at the beginning. I don't know how much creative Bob Ryder had, but he had his guys. There were cliques. Who am I forgetting here? Scott Demore, I believe, was in there when I was still there. Ed, what was that guy's name?
Ed Ferrara.
Yes, him. He was there. So there was all these different people that I believe were, in the office, so to speak. And, like I said, I just didn't pitch a lot of stuff. I just went out there and wanted to wrestle. I've always just wanted to wrestle. Just let me wrestle. And I had ideas. Yes, I threw some to Jim because I think Jim was more of the pitcher than I was.
Sure.
So I'd let him say some things, but I mean, it was usually all figured out by the time I got to the show. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And throughout the week, I, had a job and I wasn't, in contact with the office 24/7. So it's not like I was working through, hey, how about this next week? And then, maybe after it was over, hey, maybe we should do this, or, there's times when I'd throw in that, why don't we do this? But that's usually finishes and stuff. That's more my thing that I had a lot of input on, was finishes and things like that. Because I've been known to be a good finish guy. We'll just say that.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I was just curious, like, were there actual agents or did the bookers come out? Like, did Russo was he an agent?
I mean, sometimes, sometimes it was different people. Yeah. I remember Terry Taylor had my match one time, and, but not every time. And he wasn't there for that long. And so, TNA was not, I was there in a weird period too. I was there in the beginning, and then kind of a period where, dang, they're going to go out of business. Then, oh shit, we're going to Orlando. And, I was there during a little strange time.
Yeah. No, that's a great one. That's a great one right there. So I want to do this one. I'm going to throw this one out there as the final one today, and this one is kind of James Rock Street on Twitter, Instagram. What would you say is your favorite memory of the late Hot Rod Biggs?
Man, it's hard to say because I know I worked with him at Saw and stuff like that, and Shelbyville and these places. Man, I know he was a great. I honestly really remember him commentating for me and Brian Christopher's Loser Leave Town match and Crossfire, and he did a hell of a job selling that. I mean, he did the old school, man, one of these guys at the end of the night is going to have to pack up a U-Haul and go to the next town. He sold it like old school, like somebody's leaving this motherfucker.
Right.
Which is good. And I don't know if that's a weak answer, but it's a match that I really liked. Me and Brian had a really good match, and it was in front of a good house, in front of one of my favorite venues, the fairgrounds, and I don't know. That might be it for me with Biggs, is his commentary on that particular match.
Dude, I mean, that's a very strong one, because I think, like we talked earlier, he could talk, and he was so good at that. And I do think he was a great color commentator. I mean, he sold a storyline that I was working in and made it actually entertaining. And so I give him all the credit for that, I
mean, he gave it the history. Both these guys battled in this building, partners. And, I feel like a lot of guys would have just sold the current Crossfire product
as is. As is.
Yeah, these guys been fighting for 4 weeks, and they don't know each other, and somebody's leaving Crossfire.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean,
told the whole story. You know, these guys have known each other for 20-something years and packing up the U-Hauls, and you know, they drove up down the roads together. Yeah, he did a great job of that. That's one thing I remember. The first time I watched it back, I thought, damn, Biggs is a hell of a commentator.
Yeah. I would say some of my favorite memories were just seeing how loyal. You know, I remember when a certain guy was throwing a fit that he didn't get a rematch with you after he lost the Southern Saw title, right? Yeah. And he was throwing a fit, and you know, Hot Rod Biggs, I remember him saying, "Well, I tell you what, put the belt on me real quick, and I'll fix his problem." And I'm like, you know, I was like, that's awesome, and that just shows you how, you know, he loves our buddy Kroll, he loves TJ Weatherby, he loved so many guys, but man, Hot Rod, dude, he just, you know, he just was so fiercely loyal, and if he was with you, he was with you till the end, and that is something that I think all of his friends and any of the friends that are listening to this right now should rest on, is to know that he loved you, you know, and man. Then he would stand by you and fight for you. You know, it's one thing to fight nose to nose with somebody, but it's so much better when you have somebody in your shoulder to shoulder with them, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's the Hot Rod Biggs I knew, you know. Right on. So, well, but anyway, that's all we got, brother. I just wanted to throw that last one in there. So
that's cool. And we'll be back next week, and we should have another really special guest. I always say that, but this one should be one that doesn't do many of these types of things. So
excited.
Should be really good. And next week we will holla at you again. And once again, rest easy, Hot Rod Biggs.
And now a word from our sponsor.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling, the podcast that's based on the old school but can still help you find the good stuff from today. Jimmy Street and the Plastic Sheik, Jared, are the undisputed tag team champions of the wrestling podcast world. From thought-provoking topics to superstar interviews to action figure expertise, this team does it all. And all they ask is, give me back my pro wrestling. Every other Thursday, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Gene Jackson here, inviting you to join us for the Retro Wrestling Review Podcast, where each week I'm joined by guest co-host to review and discuss old school pro wrestling. Right now, we're doing week-by-week reviews of USWA Memphis from 1993. We have an audio version of the podcast as well as a video version if you want to check out the clips of the show we're talking about. It's a lot of fun, so for this and a lot of other great wrestling content, check out WrestleCopia.com. That's WrestleCopia.com.
That's right, it's the talk of Middle Tennessee, the channel you love to hate and the channel you hate to love. It's Brian Turner from Brian Turner's VHS Rehab. And if you're looking for matches from Wolfie D to Jerry Lawler to Dusty Rhodes and the team that put a pimp before your eyes and a goatee between your thighs, Booty Call and Athena, go to LostWrestling.com. See, I made it easy for you. Brian Turner's VHS Rehab. Booyah.
Are you a pro wrestling fan? Well, stop by Captain's Corner, where you can get autographed photos, cards, magazines, and figures from all of your favorite wrestling superstars of the past, present, and future. You'll also be able to participate in live signings in the weeks and months to come. Make sure to stop by Captain's Corner on Facebook and give us a holler. Remember, cheers to the working man.
So that was another great episode. Hey, Wolfie, tell them where they can find you on social media.
Jimmy, they can find me in the club, bottle full of bub. I'm just kidding.
They can find me on Facebook. My personal page is Warren Wolf, WOLFE. I'm on Instagram at WarrenWolf13. You can always find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Live Wolfie D. Here's the thing. Wolfie always has offers for his autographed photos. He has a selection of some awesome photos from throughout his career that he will autograph and personalize any way that you want him to. Just contact him either directly at his personal Facebook page or through any one of our other pages, and we'll make sure you get in contact directly with Wolfie. Get those photos, right, Wolfie?
Yeah, I've got some good stuff on there, to help with the podcast.
Folks, if you can't get out to a show to meet Wolfie D, there's nothing like that, especially for the fans of PG-13 and Wolfie D. And before we go, you can always find me, your host, Jimmy Street, at James Rock Street on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube.
And hey, Jimmy, before we go real quick, I just want to add in there, from the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate, first of all, the work you've done for this podcast. You have worked your butt off. Secondly, the people that are liking the page. Beyond that, even more, is the people that are listening, and we really appreciate that.
Yeah, and remember, guys, the podcast drops a new episode every Monday at noon, and our past episodes are streaming now on demand on all major podcast formats. Thanks again.
I got a cap for your dome.
He got a cap for your dome.
I got a cap
he
for your dome.
He got a cap for your dome.
He got a cap
for your dome.
And here we go. The original white boy that came out sagging, not bragging, don't be hating, cause I'm spitting the truth. Still livin' in color, bum rush your mother, utilize a hubcap, unlike any other. Back in the day, I was N-O-D, and I was P to the G, plus the 1 and the 3. In case you forgot, they call me Wolfie D. Been cloned and copied so many times, tired of suckers taking credit for what is mine. You know who you are without me name dropping. Wrestling's first white boy coming out hip hopping. Been doing it like this since 92. Laid low for a while and you thought I was through. Listen real close to these rhymes that I've injected. This shit's so sick it makes your ears get infected. Mad skills, no faking, there is no one great. Cause I'm bringing more folks than Obi-Wan or Vader. Not here to play games, so you better beware. You don't like me, so what? I really don't care. Like time I keep ticking and I can't be stopped. You sucker step to the side unless you wanna get dropped. With my finish, I'll straight knock you out. Please allow me to tell you what it's all about. I'm gonna wind it up, then I'm driving it home. It's Wolfie D, baby. I got a cap for your dome. I got a cap for your dome.
We got a cap for your dome. We got a cap for your dome.
This has been a James Rock Street production.